everybody were problem finder during the COVID space, and all the news that you are getting was a negative news. And either it is about COVID cases or it's about how migrants are suffering. The fact that this team was part of solution provider, not a problem finder, that itself bound us, kept us together. And we had this mission saying that Prime Minister had said during the lockdown, saying that "Jaan hai to jahan hai." So it's important. We just took that same slogan and said, "Khana hai to jaan hai to jahan hai." So everybody with that slogan got aligned, and that's what bound us, kept us together.
That was K. Venkat Narayana, CEO of Prestige Group, one of India's largest real estate developers. Also featured is Y. Kalyan Chakravarti, President and CFO of Piramal Group's real estate division. Join me, Manisha Kadagatur, on this episode of Tell It Like It Is as we explore how a bunch of volunteer professionals pulled off feeding 5 million meals to fellow Indians during the lockdown.
Food brings us together because it was at a buffet table in 2005 at a very fancy hotel in, I think somewhere in Gurgaon, that Kalyan and I last met after MBA school. We got together again in 2020 in very different circumstances, feeding our fellow Indians. Now, both of you have been very busy these past few months, ensuring daily wage earners do not go hungry across cities. My first question to you, Venkat, is what prompted you to take up this cause? How did it start? And did the challenge ever feel overwhelming?
So, 2 days into lockdown, everybody were talking about, what to watch in Amazon, Netflix. We felt very restless thinking about how are these daily wage earners going to get their food from, where will their livelihood come from, and all of that. So touch base with a couple of friends, Cheki Marwa of JLL and Ganesh of Big Basket, and we thought we should do something. In a day's time, we put everything together. We didn't know anything about this sector, this social service and all of that. We put something together and we said, let's get going and see what can we do given the situation on the ground, the fact that people do not have food to eat. And we quickly got the processes, and the logistics partner, Hungbox, came in as a kitchen supporter. We started supplying cooked meal on the day one, March 27th, with 500 meals. And with a motto that we are what we are thanks to the city and the people of the city, whatever comfort that we enjoy today. So we thought this is the time to give back. Everybody is talking about this being the biggest crisis after World War II. And we appeal to people saying that isn't it the time to come forward and help, if not now and when else. So that's how we were internally feeling, and we put it across to people, and there was overwhelming support from everywhere. And 500 meals a day from the day one. We quickly expanded thanks to Kalyan and other team members of his from Mumbai, and then Hyderabad, and then Chennai, Noida. So of course Bangalore was there. So this quickly expanded as a moment, as a feed my Bangalore, feed my Hyderabad, feed my Mumbai, feed my Chennai, feed my Noida. And we were doing a little over 1 lakh meals, helping people and serving meals to them who are hungry. And we never thought when we started saying that, when we started initially, that it will become such a big moment and it will catch up so much of scale. And also given the fact that there's so much of need on the ground, whatever we were trying to do, fell short of the requirement. So, in that way, it is overwhelming. It reached the scale unimaginable thanks to support from various people. And, we didn't, when we started, we didn't know that we were going to end up. We are almost crossing 50 lakh meals now, given the, with the dry ration that we distributed today during the lockdown.
That's a huge number. At no point did you have any doubts about how you would carry out this huge task?
Initially, when we started, lockdown was only for a couple of weeks. April 17th was to be listed and lifted, and then, but we had lockdown 2.0, 3.0 and all of that. So sustaining it for too long at that scale became very challenging. But as I said, the many corporates, whomever we have spoken to, came forward and helped us. And even, to name few, Paytm has been biggest contributor, EY, HDFC, SBI, Manipal Foundation, Prestige Group, Muthoot Foundation, HCL. Many people came forward, and that's how we could sustain.
Kalyan, why don't you take us on from there?
Sure. So Venkat started, I think, Feed My Bangalore, if I remember, on March the 27th. Couple of days of experimentation later, I would suspect on 30th or 31st March, he sent a brochure to me, and I was all set to send across some money through Paytm or whichever other means. And I pinged him saying, great job, I'm going to contribute. And that evening he called me and he said, don't contribute, start it. I said, you must be crazy, because there are too many things which I had not done here. It's a social sector NGO kind of work on which I had zero experience. Food sector, obviously, even bigger zero experience. So it was, disqualification in every dimension that is required to be fulfilled to do something of this scale. But anyway, when he pushed it, I sent out messages to about 10 people, I remember that night. In fact, I remember it was, I think, April Fool's Day when he was telling me this. So I said, he's probably trying to play a prank on me. But so April 1st, almost, we spent the day exchanging messages here and there, sent messages to about 10 friends. 2 of them responded saying, okay, let's start. So with 2 people, we said, let's contribute a little bit money. Let's do 500 meals a day for the next 30 days using our personal resources. But by the end of that day, it became actually a 2,000 meal proposition with a couple of more friends joining. And before we realized, it just became a surreal experience of things just going from one level to another in terms of just the scale and the magnitude of the operation. Every time we felt, to your earlier question, overwhelmed multiple times. I will be, lying if I said otherwise. Every second day, third day, we used to feel overwhelmed both with the operational challenges as well as with the financial challenges. Every time we felt we were running out of money, a miracle used to happen. Some corporate used to come or somebody used to donate big time, giving us that encouragement. Lots of other people joined. You yourself with your son jumped in at some point in time. We all got motivation from others. We needed people to cheer us up. As much as we were motivating others, we needed motivation back from our friends and families, which was coming very, very generously. So I guess that's how it has been. More than now, nearly 70 days of operations. In Mumbai alone, we have crossed about 1.2 million meals. In the wildest of the dreams, I would never have imagined such a thing to happen. And I think when one hits the grave, at least for me, I can say this would probably stay the highest point in my life. Feeding so many stomachs, needy people in a time of crisis is something which will stay with me forever. It's humbling, it's gratifying, and in many ways, I think it's extremely satisfying.
Well said. I mean, like they say, Annadata Sukhi Bhava. I really want to ask you both, how did you mobilize the resources and people to come together? Because you make it sound so simple. And in fact, you guys have pulled it off. So how did you mobilize people on the ground, the authorities, and resources for it?
So if I may, sorry, Venkat.
Sorry. So when we started off in Bangalore, Manisha, we didn't know anything about this except the deep desire that we need to do something given the situation on the ground. So we figured out we actually wrote down the processes. That's how the expansion into 6 different cities became very easy, and we were able to guide people what is required. And we said that there is fundraising angle, there is cooking of meals in the kitchen, there is a distribution angle, we need to distribute what is being cooked, and there is a logistics angle, so social distancing, taking the trucks and distributing the food, identifying the demand, where it is going to come from, and also the reporting angle. We all come from corporate backgrounds, so we put those processes in place. We had a playbook and we built team. Believe you me, we are 400 member army, including the people in the kitchen, and most of us don't know each other. We have never met in our lives, and we are coordinating on the phones and the Zoom calls and all of that. So respective chapter people are managing those chapters, but we sitting in Bangalore are also looking at each of the chapters. Initial few days, and Kalyan will agree with me, that we were working almost 10, 12 hours a day to put this together, and after that teams took over. I mean, right from the city corporations, government in Bangalore, police. Because police knew everything. Where is the need? Where are the people suffering? And what kind of help is reaching them and all of that. Police helped us immensely in identifying these locations and almost all the cities. And we worked very closely with the administration of each of the city. They helped us, and we got the volunteers on board. We got cooking partner called Hunger Box, which helped us cook meals and distribute across all the cities. So each segment that I spoke of, we identified the best of the partners, and people came forward. We also put forth the best of the practices, and we had corporate style functioning. We wanted to ensure that every rupee that people give us goes down in the form of meals to the end user, and there is no leakage whatsoever in the entire process. I must tell you, saying that the police, the administration, the volunteers on ground, and our background support in the income tax department and all of them, the response has been amazing. And without their support, I don't think we should have done what we have done. Kalyan.
Yeah. Since Venkat focused more on the hardware side, let me go a little philosophical or on the softer elements of it. I think the phrase "where there is a will, there is a way" gets exemplified beautifully with what we did. Many a times I just never doors opened for us to get things done, which we never thought we had contacts to get things done. So, for example, we got stuck with our volunteers. Buses were held inadequate because of certain developments which happened, and suddenly our volunteers were told, sorry, you don't have the passes, you cannot move. And the food was ready. It was supposed to be going in the next half an hour, and since it is cooked food, in 2-3 hours or 4 hours time, it would have gone stale. So one would not probably in a normal life believe. In 30 minutes time, I was speaking to the state DGP of police, and I had no clue how I got in touch with him. 2 calls, 3 calls later, the degrees of separation between us and the powers be, and the supernatural powers probably in some cases, just became so narrow. You can reach out to almost anybody, including God, to get your work done. So I probably get philosophical, but the hardware side, of course, included all the police, the commissionerate, lots of volunteers, lots of people who came on board. We had excellent people, starting with people like Nitin, who ran operations flawlessly, supported by Dhruv. We had Tara, who was an excellent volunteer working on creative side, making people contribute through her creative ways of putting across the message. We had Ram. So there are lots of people who worked on the ground, lots of NGOs who partnered with us on the last mile distribution, particularly in Mumbai. You realize that your GPS doesn't really work in every nook and corner of Mumbai, nor your network does. We all live a life in a cocoon where you go from home to office and probably touch a few more things like a mall or some specific locations. You don't necessarily touch each and every corner where the need actually is sitting. So to reach there, you need a network. And that network just came in on its own. I think the benefit of being from the corporate world helped us, like Venkat highlighted, putting together processes and systems and all, while it was in an alien sphere like food and social service, did come fairly easy for us. We did learn quite a bit, including how to do the costing for food. 7 days into it, we realized that we probably are paying about 30% or 25% higher, cut it down. So all of those usual management science we brought into it, of course. But I think the art of it kept on evolving, and from all corners you get help, support, and contacts which help you in traversing through this path.
Yeah.
Brilliant. But you touched upon this point that most of the people who came together, in fact all of you, are a bunch of volunteer professionals, right? Keeping a team, and both of you run large teams, large teams in large companies. Just keeping people aligned to a goal in a company is extremely difficult. But you seem to have somehow pulled off the task of keeping a bunch of volunteers across geographies aligned to the purpose. How did you do it?
I think, Manisha, he is power of cause, I think. Power of cause that has got a magic in it. And everybody is dedicated, committed, We didn't need to tell people. Our kitchens used to open in Bangalore at 4 a.m. People used to come, cook and keep everything ready. The first food truck used to leave there by 9:30, 10 o'clock to different locations. We had 27 distribution centers, and even all those distribution centers, the trucks have to go, the volunteers have to be there, and people will be waiting there with the social distancing, all that we put in place. So, I think we were all aligned, we were all touched, moved with what is happening on ground, and the fact that we need to help, we need to fill those hungry stomachs. And in this process, I must tell you, Manisha, see, we started as an exercise to do something as an activity, but we ourselves, I think everybody internally got transformed. I think we were feeding our souls. There were days where we used to do a lot of work, not get tired, but instead get energized, and we can skip our own meals. We were feeling full doing that kind of work. I think we were fortunate to have that dedicated, committed a bunch of people coming together to work for this cause. I think everybody were aligned. Everybody wanted to do something. Everybody was seeing something on the ground. We can sit back, sit at home. For us, having homes, having refrigerators, having money, and all these are privileges. Look at these daily wage workers. They're stuck in a different city. They don't have wherewithal. Social distancing is a luxury for them, and any of the facilities, they don't have water also, sanitizer, water. I mean, given the situation, our volunteers used to come every day, see the situation on the ground. In fact, we wanted to do a lot more and more. We used to work till midnight, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. Our response time was so quick for everything. And I must thank the team that we have put in place. I think they are amazing people.
The equation of what is it in for me, which typically is in a corporate, comes in the middle of creating a shared vision and a shared mission, because everybody is then looking for whether that mission or a vision personally leads to some positive outcome for each individual or not, or a team or not. And then conflicts start arising. And those conflicts sometimes make it very difficult in a corporate setup to make it work. In a voluntary setup like this, the larger mission, the larger cause becomes very easy. Like Venkat said, and Tara keeps saying, it's a food for the soul. And since your soul is getting constantly fed, it doesn't care about anything else. You are very strongly aligned to the larger cause. Once the alignment is there, rest all can be put in place, because that super glue which can make the team stick together and work through is a particular cause. And that cause is so strongly identifiable by anybody, including you yourself, Manisha, will represent that. While you were not 100% with us on a day-to-day basis, but from the time you got to know about it, you pulled your son into it, you started chasing it like as if it is your own mission. So I guess whether one is a transient partner in this or a permanent partner for the entire 75 days, whether one spent 12 hours a day or whether one spent 2 hours a day or simply cheered us from the sidelines, that connection was very strong. And I think that was the biggest positive, and that is what I would consider will be the biggest learning between an activity like this versus a typical corporate project getting done.
It reminds me, Kalyan and Venkat, that earlier on, I was talking to somebody from ex-Special Forces, and I had asked him, what does motivation mean? And he turned around and he said, never once in my career as a Special Forces officer was I ever given a motivation lecture by my field officer or my commanding officer. So I think you're reiterating the same point over here, that when you're all aligned to a common purpose, you really don't need any of the other motivation that goes along with it. So
everybody were problem finder during the COVID space, and all the news that you are getting was a negative news. And either it is about COVID cases or it's about how migrants are suffering. The fact that this team was part of solution provider, not a problem finder, that itself bound us, kept us together. And we had this mission saying that Prime Minister had said during the lockdown, saying that "Jaan hai to jahan hai." So it's important. We just took that same slogan and said, "Khana hai to jaan hai to jahan hai." So everybody with that slogan got aligned, and that's what bound us, kept us together.
question to you also in terms of the movement that you've started. And I call it a movement because that's what it has been for the last 75 days. Um, with now slowly the lockdown getting lifted and things starting to move, what happens to Feed My City initiative?
I think this is the initiative that we thought of to feed those hungry stomachs during this COVID. But there are a lot of corporates who are talking to us and wanting this movement to continue till people start earning. It's not about only migrants. There are many daily wage earners in the respective cities who are out of their jobs. So, like, just to give a case, an example of Mumbai, and when we initially were thinking of activating Feed My Mumbai, Kalyan and I spoke, and we wanted to engage Dabbawalas for last mile distribution. And subsequently, because of the administrative challenges, passes and all of that, we couldn't. BMC took over that responsibility and helped us. But few weeks into lockdown, one of the associations of Dabbawalas wrote saying that, look, we don't have, now we are also in need. We don't have food because we don't have jobs. So quickly we ran a small campaign, adopt Dabbawala families for 2,500 rupees a month, and gave them the rations and ensured. So they are not migrants. Some of them are locals also. Some of them could be migrants. Even Bangalore have got a lot of local people, daily wage workers. So till these people find their livelihood, they are back on track on their jobs. So we thought we will help and support. But this is one of the initiatives at KVN Foundation. So we have a lot of initiatives. Feed My City is one of the initiatives during this COVID lockdown. Otherwise, we do a lot of work in terms of hygiene, health for women. We do a lot of activities and help with respect to educating economically backward children, giving them merit scholarship, hand-holding them, and doing skill development and all of that. These activities will continue to go on, and the Feed My City per se, we'll see what all has to be done going forward until people find their jobs and livelihood.
I guess the other perspective here, Manisha, is of course KVNF goes along, and I happen to know Venkat for long, so I hope to be associated in some form, manner, or otherwise with KVNF. But otherwise, I think for everybody who has been involved in this process, there is that small little switch somewhere deep within which probably has been put on, and it is not going to be off. One cannot go back to life as usual. That engine of empathy within, I think, has started working for most people. So once you are an empathetic citizen towards a fellow citizen, there is a lot that you could do from a societal giving back perspective. So I would like to believe most of the people who have been associated in some form or manner, probably they already had something going, but this would have created that quantum leap in their desire to contribute back to the society, and hence they will find outlet. Whether they will find through KVNF, they will find through some other initiative, some other time, whether it is migrant laborers, COVID or non-COVID. The society has that difference of privileged and not so privileged. So I think there will be this continued effort and continued desire to work for that not so privileged people that most of the volunteers that we have worked with will continue to have. And I hope it does as well.
I want both of you now. You must have come across so many stories in the last last few months. Please share one, two stories actually, that absolutely moved you.
There is this little boy of 5 years old who gets talked about in the group. It has not happened directly with me, but has happened with one of the volunteers. And that little boy comes in a queue of about, let's say 100 people who collected food for the entire 75 days duration or so. And the little boy will wait. He will be the first in the queue to collect the food, but he will not collect it and wait till everybody in that queue has gotten food. And he would always be the last guy taking the food, saying, no, let everybody take it first. And he's all of 5 years. The same boy, when we were doing fruity distribution, again, this is a story which gets told and it has moved me, so I'm repeating. When we were giving fruities, we were insisting that it be given to children. So there would be adults who will come and ask, will say, sorry, sir, we want to give it to the children. This little kid, because he was so cute and he would wait for so long, when the volunteer would want to give 2 fruities, the guy would say no and take only one, says no, aur kisi ko dijiye. So humanity at that level and feeling for others at that age is extremely moving. Despite him being hungry, despite his age, holding back that desire to eat quickly and let his hunger go away, to indulge in such humanitarian activities at that age and that stage and that economic level is very moving.
Venkat?
Yeah. So, I mean, quite a few. Every day we are on ground, we keep seeing something or the other. The latest in my mind is what happened today. We were distributing rations today, and these are 20 kg package which has got oil, which has got 5 kgs of rice, 5 kgs of atta, and then vegetables and all of that. And we said one for family, and your family can survive with this for a month. And there were a couple of people standing there, and we had 2 trucks. First truck came, distributed, and went. Second truck came in, and of course we don't know whom we have distributed, whom we have not distributed, and all of that. And somebody was standing in the side. We asked them, saying that please collect the ration. Very promptly saying that no sir, मैं तो ले लिया, मैं और एक ले लिया तो दूसरों को नहीं मिलेगा. I think that was, even in given these circumstances where people will come and take 2, 3 and stock it, they were concerned about the fellow guy, whether they would get it or not. And this is one latest. But during this COVID, we had challenges and issues every day, almost trying to solve them somehow or the other without knowing much. One other instance is where the farmers, an aggregator of farmer, I think there is a forum called villagestory.com. Through that, he reached out to us and said he had almost around 15 tons of bananas, and somebody agreed to buy, and lockdown started, and that person is not responding, don't know what to do, and he has no clue what to do with the entire stock. And when we approached somebody in the administration, they asked for some 1 rupee a kg or 2 rupee a kg, whereas that was going pre-COVID almost at around 20 rupees a kg. And we saw tears in the eyes of farmers. They must have worked hard entire year, got that crop, and now they don't know what to do. What we did, we went ahead, we told the farmer, okay, we'll buy at a fair price, whatever it is. So we agreed to buy at 9 rupees a kg, bought all those bananas and started distributing at distribution centers. Farmers are happy. Our people where we are feeding are happy. I mean, these are the stories that moved and touched. When we put ourselves in their shoes and think from their point of view and perspective, I mean, it's heartbreaking. When we read in the newspaper and when you read in the article saying that child trying to wake up dead mother, one mother throwing children somewhere because she is not able to feed them. I mean, when we read this, it was heartbreaking and very touching. And we have seen some of them on ground, especially when Kalyan said they are distributed. 4 days into lockdown and they're feeding, these mothers came with the small children and said, Anna, you are giving food, but my child is only 6 months, 8 months, and I can't give them this food. I need some milk. Can you help me? So we immediately spoke to somebody, organized milk packets. And I mean, as I said, when we put ourselves in their position and think, it's heartbreaking. And there are many stories like this. This moves. Once we go to distribution centers, it touches us and it moves.
When we go through the donor list, you will see people who are proper native Russians and Cypriots, and you name the country. You probably got donations from so many different countries, small retail donations. It's very moving.
I mean, I can only thank for all those people, donors, supporters, volunteers, kitchens, our core team, the chapter executive,